Sketch the graph of the following trigonometric functions. In each case, state the period, the amplitude, and the vertical shift. So let's start with the first one. Y is equals to 3 sine x. So we're saying y is equals to 3 sine x. Then we're supposed to find the amplitude. We're supposed to find the period and the vertical shift, which I'll abbreviate as Vs. Okay, now the amplitude is how high your graph is going to go. Okay, so your graph is going to be alternating between 2 points. Okay, and that is the amplitude. And to find your amplitude, get the coefficient of the function. In this case, it is 3, and you're going to find the absolute value of that number. And the absolute value of any number, whether positive or negative, it's still that number. So in this case, our amplitude is going to be 3. Then to find the period is just the time it takes to complete one full revolution. If it's a circle, you know that is 360. Okay, so same with waves or graphs. They're going to alternate or make a full revolution of 360. Okay, but it changes for graphs. Okay, so how are we going to find the period? Now the period, you know the way we find the period, or t is equals to 2 pi over the coefficient of x, which is b. Now in this case, 2 pi over the coefficient of x, which is b. In this case, this is our x. Now the coefficient of x, we're talking about a number. In this case, the coefficient is just a 1, right? So it's the one that you're going to put here. Therefore your period is going to be 2 pi. Okay, now there is no vertical shift. The graph hasn't been shifted anywhere. A vertical shift would be something like, let me say, a plus 2. Okay, a shift in the y. Okay, so we don't have that. So let's graph. We've got full information to graph our function. So this is the y-axis, this is the x-axis. Okay, so we have an amplitude of 3. So this will be positive 3, this will be negative 3. Now the period, the time it takes to complete a full revolution, we found that it is 2 pi. So I'm going to write that. So 2 pi. Now allow me to divide my graph into 4 parts. So when I find the half of 2 pi, the half of 2 pi to just be pi. Then this is 0. Between 0 and pi, it will be just pi over 2. Now for me to find this part, I can either add pi plus 2 pi, then I divide by 2, or I get pi over 2, I multiply it by 3. So when I multiply pi over 2 by 3, I'm going to get 3 pi over 2. Okay, so this is the information that we have as at now. Now you know that a sine graph, it always passes through this point 180 and this point 360. So now if you are going to look at the graph itself, or the sign of the function, it is positive. So because it is positive, we're going to have a positive graph. So it's going to pass through this point, then it's also going to pass through that point. Then our graph therefore is going to be like this. Okay, so this is a graph of y is equal to sine x, and that's how you are going to find it. Question B is saying y is equal to sine of x over 2. So y is equals to sine of x over 2. Okay, so we're going to do the same. We're going to find the amplitude, which I'll abbreviate as A. We're going to find the period, which I'll abbreviate as T, and we're going to find the vertical shift, which I'll abbreviate as Vs. Now, what is our amplitude in this case? The coefficient of the function, okay, it is just a 1, okay? So the absolute value of 1, that is just a 1. Then when I come to T, or the period, you know that the period, like we said, it is 2 pi over B, 2 pi over our B in this case, the coefficient of x. You know that this is the x over 2 can also be written as 1 over 2 multiplied by x, right? So the coefficient of x it will be 1 over 2, or half. So pi over 2 divided by, okay, since we don't have a vertical shift, it's 0, there's nothing, so I'm just going to continue with this one. So we're saying this divided by half, and you know that this divided by half, 2 pi divided by half, it will just be times 2 over 1. Then 2 pi multiplied by 2, that is a 4 pi. Then our vertical shift is just 0. We don't have any shift in the y direction. So now what do? We have all the information to graph our function. So let's say this is our y-axis, this is our x-axis. So how high our graph is going to go? This will be 1, this will be -1. It will be alternating between these 2 points. Then our period, the time it will take to complete a full revolution for this graph, is going to be 4 pi. Okay, like we found. Then what other information do we have? Okay, now let's divide our graph into 4 parts. Okay, the half of 4 pi, you know that is just 2 pi. Then between 0 and 2 pi, I just have to half as well, so this will be pi. Then between 2 pi and 4 pi, it's just 3 pi. Okay, now I have everything that I need. Now you know that the sine graph, it will pass through this point and through that point. And look at the value of the function itself is positive, so it means it's going to go up and come down. So it's going to pass through this point and it's going to pass through that point. Then you just join this point, so it's going to go up, pass through that point, and like that. So this is a function of y is equals to sine of x over 2. Let's solve another one. So c is saying y is equals to cos 3x. Okay, so we've got y is equals to cos 3x. So we are going to also find again the amplitude. Okay, let's find the amplitude. What is the amplitude in this case? The coefficient of the function. You look at the coefficient of the in front of the cos, it's just 1, right? So we're going to find the absolute value of 1, which will just be a 1. Then we come to the period. The period, we are saying it is 2 pi over b. So we are saying 2 pi over b. What is b? B is a coefficient of x. What is the coefficient of x in this case? It is a 3. Okay, so this divided by 3. So that will be our period. Then our vertical shift, we don't have a shift in the y direction, so this is 0. So we have everything that we need to graph this function. This is our y-axis, this is our x-axis. So we're saying the amplitude is 1, how high it will go. Okay, then we're saying the period, the time it will take to complete a full revolution, it is 2 pi over 3. Now what would be the half of 2 pi over 3? So 2 pi over 3 multiplied by half, I'm just going to get 2 pi over 6. This can be reduced further to be, 2 into 2, that is a 1, 2 into 6, that is a 3. So we have 3 pi over 3. So we have 3 pi, oh actually we have pi over 3. So we have pi over 3. Then the half of pi over 3, you know that it is just going to be pi over 6. Then when we multiply this by 3 to get what is here, you're going to have 3 pi over 6, which you can reduce further. 3 pi over 6. So when you reduce it further, it's just be pi over 3 can divide it into 6, that will just be a 2. So we have 2 pi over 2 here. Okay, now this is a cosine graph. So you know that the cosine graph is going to start at the amplitude here and it's going to end here. Okay, so how does this cosine graph move? Because this one is a positive, okay, it is positive, the value of the function is positive, so it's going to pass through that point, come through this point, and go through that point. So how is our graph going to look like? Going to come like that. Okay, so this is a graph of y is equals to cos 3x. Then this y is equals to cos pi x over 3. Okay, so let's solve that one. We are saying dy is equals to cos pi x over 3. So we're going to find the amplitude. What is our amplitude in this case? The coefficient of the value of the function or the cos, it's just 1. Absolute value of 1 is just 1. Then we come to the period. The period we are saying is 2 pi over b. 2 pi over, what is our b in this case? The coefficient of x. Now what is the coefficient of x in this case? You're able to see that it is this pi over 3. So I'm going to put pi over 3 down. Then we solve. So we've got 2 pi is being divided by pi over 3. And you know that this thing, the 2 pi, then it will swap, multiplied by 3 over pi. So therefore the pi that is down and the pi that is up, they will cancel. Therefore I've got 2 multiplied by 3, that is a 6. So that is going to be a period. Our vertical shift is still going to be 0. We don't have any shift in the y direction. So let's graph. We have everything that we need to graph. This is the y-axis, this is the x-axis. So we are saying it's going to be alternating between 1 and -1. That is the amplitude. Then what is our period? The time it takes to complete one full revolution, we found that it is 6. At 6. Now what will be the half of 6? The half of 6, it will just be is it a 3? Yes. Then the half of 3, what is it going to be? 3 divided by 2, you know that this is just going to be 1.5. Okay, so this will be 1.5. Then the half of between 3 and 6, what are we going to have? 3 plus 6, that is a 9, divided by 2. I'm going to have 4.5. Okay, so here I'll put 4.5. Okay, this is a cosine graph and it is positive. Okay, you're able to see that it is positive. So it is again going to start at the maximum here and it's going to end at the maximum here. Therefore it's going to pass through this point, it's going to pass through this point, and it's going to pass through that point. So how is our graph going to look like? Going to move like that, passes through these points and like that. So this is a graph of y is equals to cos pi x over 3. So let's solve another one. Y is equals to negative sine pi x over 2. Okay, so we're saying we're saying y is equals to negative sine x, or sine, then we've got pi x over 2. So we've got pi x over 2. Okay, so that is our question. So we're still going to find the amplitude. So the amplitude, in this case, the coefficient of the function. Now you're able to see that the coefficient is a negative 1. Okay, so I'm going to put absolute value of negative 1. Then initially we said the absolute value of any number, whether positive or negative, it's that number minus the sign. Okay, so the sign the absolute value of negative 1 to just be 1. Then the period will be equals to 2 pi over b. Now what is our 2, or what is our b? 2 pi divided by, what is our b? Our b is a coefficient of x, that is pi over 2. So let's just do that. So divided by pi over 2. So when we are going to solve, we're going to have 2 pi multiplied by 2 over pi. The pi and the pi, they're going to cancel. Then I'm going to finally have a 4 as my period. Then what is our vertical shift? It is 0. Then let's graph this. Let's say this is our y-axis. This is our x-axis. Then how far is our graph going to go? We found that our amplitude is 1, so it's going to be alternating between 1 and negative 1. Then the period, the time it's going to take to complete the full revolution, it's a 4. Okay, now let's demarcate our graph into 4 parts. Okay, the half of 4, you know that it's going to be a 2. Between 0 and 2, the half of 2, it will just going to be a 1. Between 2 and 4, the half of that is going to be a 3. Okay, so now how is our graph going to look like? You know that the cosine graph passes through 0, 0, passes through this point and the last point. Now look at the function. What is the value of the function? It is negative. Okay, so because the sign is negative, the negative sign reflects the graph over the x-axis. Okay, so because of the negative sign, therefore our graph, instead of it going like that, you know that the positive goes like this. Now in this case it's going to be opposite. So it's going to move, it's going to pass through this point and through that point. So it's going to move like that and like that. Okay, passing through that point. So this is going to be the graph of y is equal to sine pi x over 2. Let's solve another one. This one was E. Let's solve f. Okay, 1 plus cos 2 pi x. So we are saying f is 1 plus cos 2 pi x. Okay, cos 2 pi x. Okay, this is now interesting. At least we have a vertical shift in this question. So let's find the amplitude first. amplitude, the value of the coefficient of the function, you're able to see that in front of cos we'll just have a positive 1, not this one, no, just the same cos like that. So we have the absolute value of 1, which will just be a 1. Let's find the period. Period, we are saying it is 2 pi divided by b. Okay, 2 pi over b. 2 pi divided by, what is our b? The b is a coefficient of x. In this case it's 2x, so it's 2 pi. So 2 divided by 2 pi. 2 pi divided by 2 pi. So if you want, you can say 2 pi multiplied by 1 over 2 pi. Okay, and you know that the 2 pi and the 2 pi are just going to divide, and when you do everything you're just going to remain with 1. So our period in this case, it is a 1. Then what is our vertical shift? You're able to see that the graph has been shifted by 1 unit. Okay, so in that case we're going to have a 1. Now for us to find the actual now amplitude of the graph, because we've shifted the graph by 1 unit, to the amplitude we're going to add 1, and to the amplitude we're going to subtract a 1. Okay, so if we say 1 plus 1, to find the upper limit we're going to have a 2. If we say 1 minus 1, to find the lower limit we're going to have a 0. So therefore our graph is going to be alternating between 2 and 0. So let's draw our graph. Let's say this is the y-axis, and this is our our x-axis, like that. Okay, now we have everything that we need to graph this function. So initially, okay, let's first put the period. The period, it is 1. Now what is the half of 1? You know that the half of 1 is just, we can also write, you know, half itself. Okay, let me not write half, let me write 0.5. Okay, to avoid points, 0.5. And the half of, between 0 and half, what are we going to have? The half of half, you know, it's just going to be 1 over 4, right? So 1 over 4 then to this, for us to find what is here, we're going to multiply by 3. So I'm going to have 3 over 4. Now this is how our period is going to look like. But now we've got now the amplitude, how high it's going to go. We found that it was supposed to reach at 1, but now this graph has been shifted by a vertical shift of 1. So it means to the vertical shift we've added 1, okay, another 1. So what are we going to have? It's now going to be at 2. Because we've shifted at 2, it was supposed to be -1 on the other side, but because we've shifted, it's now going to be at 0. Okay, so the lower limit is going to be at 0. Okay, so the graph is going to be alternating between these points. So what are we now going to have? So this is a cosine graph, and you know that the cosine graph, and it's positive in this case, so it's going to start from this point, this the upper limit, and it's going to end on the other upper limit here. Okay, and how is our cosine graph? Is going to pass through this point, pass through this point, and pass through that point. So how is our graph going to look like? Going to go like that, passes through that point, and goes like that. So this will be the graph for this function. G, we're saying is equals to -1 plus cos 2x. Let's solve G. So we're saying it's -1 plus cos 2x. So let's find the amplitude. The coefficient of the function, you're able to see in front of cos that's a positive 1. So the absolute value of positive 1 is just the 1. The period, 2 pi over b, or divided by b. In this case, the b is the coefficient of x. In this case, it's a 2. So we are going to have 2 pi divide, that is a division, so it's going to be 1 over 2. 2 divided by 2, we're just going to remain with a pi. That is going to be the period. Then let's look at the vertical shift. You're able to see that the vertical shift that we've been given, it is -1. Okay, so -1. Then what did we say to the amplitude? You're going to add and subtract that -1. So for us to find the upper limit, is going to be 1 plus -1. Let me say the upper limit. Okay, how high? So when I add 1 plus -1, I'm just going to get a 0. Then when to find us the lower limit, okay, let me say it down. So 1 how are we going to do that? So -1, we're going to have -1 minus this 1 again. We're going to have a -2. Okay, so to graph our function, what do we now have? The y-axis, allow me to write it on top, because we're going to the negatives, from 0 to the negatives. Okay, so that is our graph, and allow me to wrap this. So we've known that just the upper limit, we said it is 0, so our graph is going to start at 0 and it's going to end at -2. Then what is our period? Our period, we found that it is pi. Pi is just the same as 180. So this is going to take one complete full revolution. It's going to end at pi. Now what is going to be the half of pi? The half of pi is just going to have pi over 2. Then between pi 2 and what about this one? Between 0 and pi over 2. So pi over 2 multiplied by half, that will just give us pi over 4. So this is pi over 4. Then to pi over 4, when you multiply by 3, we're going to have 3 pi over 4. Okay, we have everything that we need. Now this is a cosine graph. So for the cosine graph, you know that it always passes through this point and it ends at that point. Okay, so how is our graph going to look like? So because this is a positive cosine graph, okay, it's going to move in that same fashion in how it moves. So it's going to pass through this point, pass through that point, and pass through that point. Okay, let me just write them nicely. Through this point, that point, and that point. So how is it going to move? So it will move like that. Okay, so that will be our graph. Then h, y is equals to 2 plus sine 6x. Okay, so h, we are saying 2 plus sine 6x. Okay, so we have 2 plus sine 6x. So how do we solve this one? So let's find the amplitude. You're able to see that in front of sine it's just a positive 1, so the amplitude in this case is just going to be 1. Let's find the period. Period is 2 pi over b, or divided by b. In this case b is a coefficient of x, which is 6. So what are we going to have as our period? So we have 2 pi, division is just the same as times 1 over 6. Then when we divide, 2 into 2, that is 1, 2 into 6, that is a 3. So we're going to remain with pi over 3. So that is going to be our period. Then what about our vertical shift? Our vertical shift, you're able to see we've been given a 2, so that is a vertical shift. Okay, now for us to find the graph, you know that the sine graph, it always starts at 1, right? So now the vertical shift, it means that the graph has been raised by 2 units, so it will be now oscillating between 1 and 3, because if 1 is the topmost for a sine function, if we add a 2, because we shifted the graph by 2, so up is going to reach at 3, but to 1 when you subtract 2, okay, it's going to be what is it? What have I written? 2 minus 1. That is just a 1. So that is how it's going to be. So let's say this is our y-axis, this is our x-axis. Okay, to explain what I was saying, let's say our 1 is here. You know that sine graph alternates between 1 and -1, but now we have a vertical shift of 2 units. We've shifted the graph by 2 units on top. So to 1 we are going to add 2, right, which is going to be 3. It means now our graph is going to be alternating between 3, but now even on the other side it has to shift by 2 units. Okay, so if I add -2 plus -1, you know that I'm just going to have a 1, so a 1 will just be here. So that's how our graph is going to move. Okay, so our 3 will be there. Let's say our 1 is here. Okay, then what is our period? Period is pi over 3. Now the half of this, it means we're just multiplying by 1 over 2, which will just give us pi over 6. So the half is pi over 6. Then the half of this one, what are we going to have? We're going to have pi over 12. Then when we multiply this by 3, pi over 12 multiplied by 3, 3 into 3 is 1, 3 into 12, that is a 4. We're going to have pi over 4. So this is pi over 4. Then what now do we have? The graph is going to be alternating between 3 and 1. So you know that sine graph always starts in the middle, right? Okay, if it is -1 and 1 and there's 0 here, you know that the sine graph always starts here. It goes like that if it's a positive 1. So even in this case, it's going to start in between these 2 points. Okay, in between 3 and 1. So this is where it's going to start. But let's look at the value of the function. You're able to see that it's positive. So because it's positive, it's going to go up. Then it's going to pass. Okay, you know, it passes through there and it ends. And it ends here. Okay, so it's going to go there 1. So between 3 and 2, between 3 and 1, you know that this is a 2. Okay, so what are we now going to have? Pi over 12. Then we've got pi over 4. So how do I draw it nicely? Okay, allow me to put, this is 1, this is 3. Okay, allow me just write the points nicely. So it's going to be alternating between these points. So this is 3, this is 1, and this is the middle ground. Okay, so we have our point here, we have a point there, then it's going to come down, going to pass through that point, and it's going to move and passes through that point like that. So what do we have? So it will move like that, and it will be going in that direction. So that will be the graph of this function. So it's this graph, when we end here, it means that's where we just want it to end, to complete one revolution. So everything that will be coming on the other side, it will be this same period. What do I mean? So this graph is going to continue like that, it's going like that, but maintaining the same period of 3 pi. Okay, that's how it's going to go. Let's solve another one. Y is equals to 1 minus sine 9x. So we're saying so that is our question. So now what do? We are going to now find the amplitude. The value, you are able to see that it is -1 in front of sine, so it will be the absolute value of -1, which will just be a 1. The period we are saying is 2 pi over b, or divided by b. In this case, b is a coefficient of x, which is 9. So 2 multiplied by, or actually to be 2 pi divided by 9. Okay, because the division turns to multiplication, so 1 over 9, that like that. Then the shift, or the vertical shift, you're able to see that it is just a 1. So how do we graph this one? Okay, just like the previous one. So now we're going to have, this is our y-axis, this is our x-axis. So allow me to put the x-axis this side. Okay, so because it always starts from 1, but now because of a vertical shift of 1, we're going to add, so it means we're going to end at 2 now, and now this will be 0 instead of -1. So that is going to be our amplitude. Then our period is 2 pi over 9. So 2 pi over 9. Then the half of 2 pi over 9, 2 pi over 9 multiplied by half, I'm just going to have 2 pi over 9 multiplied by 2, that is 18. So I'm going to have the middle as 2 pi over 18 is it? I think that can also be reduced further if you want. 2 pi over 18. 2 into 2, that is, it's going to be pi over 9. Right? Okay. 2 pi over 18. Then what do we have? If you find the half of this, 2 pi over 18, 2 pi over, I don't understand. We've got 2 pi over 9 multiplied by half. Okay, that would be 2 pi over 18. Now 2 pi over 18, 2 into 2, that is 1. 2 into, okay, now I understand. Okay, so 2 pi over 9 multiplied by half. This 2 and 2 can cancel, right? We're just going to have pi over 9. Okay, so pi over 9, or 2 pi over 18, the one we had written. So we are saying pi over 9. Let's use pi over 9. Then the half of pi over 9, we're going to have pi over 18. Then to pi over 18, when we multiply by 3, what am I going to have? Or I add pi over 9 plus pi, 2 pi over 9. I'm just going to have 9 over 3 pi. Okay, then I find the half of this. I'm going to have 3 pi over 18. I think 3 can go into 3. 3 into 18, isn't that like a 6? Okay, so I'm going to have pi over 6. Pi over 6, and I think it's going to be the same if you say pi over 18 multiplied by 3. You know that 3 into 3, 3 into 8, that is 16. Okay, so we have pi over 6. So this is a sine graph. And now look at the function. So you know that the sine graph passes through, if this is a middle ground, it's going to pass through this point, pass through that point, and pass, through that point. Now it's either going to be going up or down. But now look at the value of the function. This is negative, so it means it's going to go down. Okay, so it's going to move, so it's going to pass through that point, and it's going to pass through that point. Okay, so how is our graph going to look like? Passes like that, passes through that point and goes like that. Okay, this is the middle ground. Okay, so this will be the graph of that. Let's solve the last one. Y is equals to negative 2 plus cos 10x. So we are saying y is equals to negative 2 plus cos of 10x. Okay, so the same drill, we're going to find the amplitude. The amplitude in this case is a coefficient of the the function. In this case, you've got on cos, you got 1, so the absolute value of 1 is just going to be a 1. The period is just going to be 2 pi over b, or divided by b. The b in this case, the coefficient of x, you're able to see that it is a 10. So we are going to have 2 pi divided by 10. Now 2 pi divided by 10, that is just 2 into 2, that is 1. 2 into 10, that is a 5. So we are going to have pi over 5 as our period. What about our vertical shift? You've seen that the graph has been shifted by negative 2 to negative 2. Okay, so that is it. So now what do we now have? So we have everything that we need. Let's say this is our graph. This is a y-axis, and this is the y-axis. Okay, let's put it somewhere there. So let's start with the period. the period we've been given is ending at pi over 5. Okay, now the half of pi over 5 is going to be pi over, if we multiply by, that is pi over 10. Then the half of pi over 10, to find us that point, what are we going to have? We're going to have pi over 20. Then to this, when we multiply by 3, we're going to have 3 pi over 20. We have everything that we need. Now what is our vertical shift? We found that our vertical shift, it is -2. So we're going to add -2 plus 1 to get us our upper limit, and we're going to say -2 minus 1 to get us our lower limit. For our upper limit, -2 plus 1, what do we get? We're going to get a -1. When we add -2 minus 1, we're going to have a -3. So our graph is just going to alternate between the negatives. Okay, so if that is our graph, what are we now going to have? So -3 and -2. Okay, okay, it's fine. Let me just extend the down part, because we're not concerned with the positive part. Let's say our -1 is there and our -3 is here. So what do we have? So we have a middle ground here, right, which would be our -2. And this is our cosine graph. Okay, and it is positive in this case, so it means it's going to come down and go up. So you know that the positive, the cosine graph, so it's going to let me use a different color. So it's going to pass through this point and end at the other point. End at the other point, so here, like that. Then how is it going to go? So it will pass through this point, pass through this middle point, and pass through that point. So it's going to move like that, passes through that point, and like that. Okay, so this is going to be the graph of that. So this is how we graph this function, this trigonometric graphs in your tutorial sheets for 2025.